As your group finally exits the forest, you find yourself at your quest's destination, an ancient crystal that is said to hold the soul of a long-lost hero. As you approach, you start hearing a humming noise above you. Moments later, a huge lizard with enormous butterfly wings drops from the sky, landing right in front of you. As its purple eyes stare you down, it bares its multi-rowed teeth at you, before blowing through them, emitting a high-pitched noise towards you as the fighter rushes in. Its wings flutter, dust falling from them, and gathering into balls of energy that blast out towards him, wounding his legs and paralyzing you in place. The wizard gathers arcane figments in his hands, blasting a chromatic orb of magical lightning at it. However, the Talonfrall nimbly steps aside as its eyes start to glow and the orb of magic swirls around it and slams back into the wizard, knocking him out. Its attention turned to you. Its colorful wings start fluttering. But just then, your paralysis fades. What do you do?
It's Steve Prime, it's Steve Prime, yabba dabba 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 dabba, Steve Prime production.
What was that, you might ask yourself right now. But guess what? That creature might have sounded completely homebrew, but its stat block was nothing more than a spectator with a dragon creature type and its size changed to large for flavor. For anyone who doesn't know, a spectator is a beholderkin. You know, the lesser one. The one on page 30 of the monster manual. And in this video, I'll teach you how to do it. Hi there, my name's Steve Prime, and I was asked by a friend to share how I reflavor monsters for Dungeons & Dragons. You know, everyone's fought a dragon, everyone's fought kobolds, ropers, and all that jazz. But you'll be surprised just how much life you can breathe into them by adding a fresh coat of paint. Well, it's actually not that hard, at least in my opinion. You can approach it several different ways, but the way I usually use is, this one. You first look at a stat block of a creature you like, such as a kobold. Then you look at their attacks. Let's see, a ranged sling attack and a melee dagger stab. The ranged attack could be reflavored into some kind of spikes that your creature could launch from itself, for example. I'm thinking of a hedgehog-like creature, perhaps something slimy on the inside, but with a tough bunch of spikes that can be shot out of their bodies. Let's call them Iglebs. That's a fun name. They also have pack tactics, as you know, which grants them advantage on attacks while within 5 feet of one another. So maybe, when two of these guys attack while next to each other, they could entwine their bodies and form a singular spike ball, which rolls over the body of the opponent. Still just 2 attacks, each with advantage, but much more bizarre and interesting than kobolds, eh? Now, you might say that, of course, kobolds are easy, since they're nearly the most basic you can get. Well, let's take another example then. A smudge more complex, this time. The Bugbear Chief. Now, you might think that this creature isn't much more complex than the kobold. Well, and you'd be, half right. Its attacks are still just a melee attack and a ranged attack. However, its skills and passive stuff is what sets it apart. I'll explain as I go along. This one will transform into an ooze, though it could easily be an aberration as well if you just give it a solid skin tone and don't have it be as gooey. Utilizing the Bugbear Chief's survival proficiency and stealth expertise will make it a Schmex. Yes, I'm going with Schmex. An intelligent ooze that lurks and hunts its prey. Now, a thing that sets the Bugbear Chief apart from its brethren is its Heart of Hrugek ability, which gives it advantage on saving throws against being charmed, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, stunned, or put to sleep. But we can take its name as an inspiration for our ooze creature. Let's give it, an actual heart, beating with veins spreading from it throughout the entire creature. All visible, of course, as the creature has a purple hue but is still translucent. Finally, we'll just replace the damage types with bludgeoning for the melee attack and acid for the range attack, respectively, turning the javelin throw into a spit attack, where the Schmex lobs a ball of acid at its target with a strong beat of its heart. And of course, the melee attack will be crushing, oozy tentacles. If you want to go through the extra effort, you can also give it the amorphous trait, so it can squeeze through tight openings, just like other oozes. Let's also give it a climbing speed, so that it can stalk the party from the top of trees or cave ceilings. They're in for a nasty surprise when one or more of these will jump them. Maybe have them operate in groups, with smaller versions of them representing the regular bugbears. And if you want to get creative with it, they might even be able to add to the mass of the chief schmecks. But that's all up to you. You could do it like they increase their hit points, or, well, who knows? I did several things here to get inspired. You can think, what kind of a role does this creature fill? In our case, bugbears are great sneaky hunters, so I just changed the creature type and thought of a sneaky hunter. You could probably also make a similar creature with a stat block of a roper. Just elongate those tentacles and give it a big ol' mouth, and some way to justify its high AC. Like it wearing armor of previously killed adventurers. If you go with that, you could even give it some fire damage with its teeth, making it into an ooze that can heat up, melt metal, and reforge it. Could be a cool basis for an NPC, too. One last tip. Don't be scared to change up those damage types. If you employ this stuff a lot, do keep in mind any stray barbarians that might have joined your party while you weren't looking. 'Cause, well, as long as they aren't bear-totem barbarians, they would probably like to profit from that bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing resistance. Show them some love, eh? Or go the opposite direction, and show that tiefling some love if all you've been fighting in the last 13 sessions have been cold-based enemies. What I've shown, and to be honest, found out, with all these examples is that my recommended method would just be justify things. Try it! Just change the creature type of a monster and try to justify their abilities. If you get stuck, try a different angle. Switch from their abilities to their stats, for example. And, most importantly, just keep at it. Do a few stat blocks that you don't like so much, just for practice. You'll get better over time. I know you can do it. This video is brought to you by Steve Prime Productions. If you enjoyed this, please remember to like, subscribe, maybe ring the bell if you want to, and if you have any constructive or destructive criticisms, feel free to leave it in the comments. Steve Prime, out! I can always cut that part.
Yeah, maybe do that.